see, we have many bodies, so to speak. The physical body, you see it start as a child, and you find ways of keeping it and helping it to adulthood. You eat, you breathe, you stick around mum and dad for safety and so forth. You follow mum across the lake if you're a chick. Yes, we learn the right diet, we learn the right exercise, we learn the right environment, we learn the right occupation for us. We mature as a physical adult body. Then there's the emotional body, astral, if you like. We learn that our anger is damaging to us. It makes us lonely and depressed and so on. And we learn that happiness and joy and peace are the hallmarks of a maturity of the astral body. We avoid certain things that seem pleasurable in the short run. In the longer run, we realize, no, this is not part of our welfare. And our welfare and maturity is defined in terms of peaceful and content and not pressing in things that are not attainable, not demanding too much of what cannot be reasonably and ongoingly satisfied. We arrive at a maturity of emotion, stable. And then at the mental body, we start off unable to think rationally. As time passes, we become more rational, more able to conceive of what is going to be helpful and good and what isn't. Good in the sense of we get right what we predict, what will happen from what's around us. Well, this enables us to be creative. We become causal now. We actually initiate things that have some consistency in the world around us. We do things that are good for the body, that help it grow and keep it safe. We're rational in following safety for the body and helping its maturity. We are rational in realizing that, for instance, things like anger is quite disturbing and chaotic in the emotional body. So we start to create or pursue different emotional status, if you like, setup. In other words, you see, each of the bodies guides the others. They work together. You couldn't do without an emotional body. You couldn't do without a physical body, not here in this world. You couldn't do without a mental body, in that if you're totally irrational, you destroy the other two very quickly. The causal part of the the causal part of the mental body leads on to an understanding and a help towards the enlightenment body, what the might be called the Buddhic sort of thing, where the experience of the understanding and the causal, the mental and the causal, generate an intuitive grasp of what is at the conceiving level. You can think of it as a higher mental, if you like, or a higher ability to cause and create, but it's a sort of imaginative level. It's imaginative that matures into the intuitive. It's a sort of feeling of being, of knowing, above simply rationality. Rationality we find out, in a sense, by observation. But knowing is a situation where we start to build the consequence of having found out. It's a sort of mental feeling for a reality of what's behind it all. And this helps guide, of course, the lower, what we call the thinking body, the mental body, the causal and analytical mind body. At this level, I mean, understanding or feeling for what the body really needs is also appreciated, and what the emotions need. In other words, all of these bodies are necessary in this family that you are. Their cooperation and their maturity helps each other. They're symbiotic, are they? Is that what we call it when two plants grow together? They're cooperative, they support each other in some sense. Their welfare is joint. And of course, from the intuitive, imaginative, which, think how much that is being driven by a mature, ideally, emotional body, and a healthy physical body, and a capable, analytical, and causally creative mind. The enlightenment, the intuitive, imaginative, intuitive, matures and has an influence on the next up, which is not sure what one can call it in modern Western speech. I would say loving ego expansion, communal maturity. It's a civilization, family. Yes, family. fellowship group. It's the fellowship body. You start to feed into and support a fellowship body, which is a self now that is transcended simply understanding and being creative. And it's benefiting from the intuitive, imaginative, intuitive body, which actually was being fed from this communal civilization fellowship body. I think we'll just call it fellowship. It's the expansion of the ego. It's love. It's love which matures into what we think of as the best of family and group and fellowship. They all seem to have some care for each other. It's an interrelated body that is not happy alone. And it's this level that we see God driving the creativity of the universe and having children, namely us. He's looking for something, a greater family, a greater fellowship. We could say it's the best of civilization. The poorest of civilization is at the Buddhic level, where things are a very mature mental, causal, creative level that has this spin-off of intuition, enlightenment, which has the spin-off of a building towards the helpful towards the communal family, love. I would call it love. And this matures into a focusing on what is best to love, what is best to be focused on, what is fundamental to, I would say, what traditionally has been called nirvanic, but it's it's moving towards a being. It's a harmony. It's a harmony, hence singing and praise, worship, emphasizes harmony. The maturity of God is a perfect harmony of all things that are. Our ultimate being is what he is, but it's him in variety, and we are a part of that variety. If you like, we're a particular vibration, combination of vibrations, a unique harmony in ourselves, but in harmony with the whole. The ultimate of the nirvanic is what we think of as God, the one being, which is the harmony of all the other parts of being, all other being. I hold that this is my ultimate self. I keep it from final. I suspend the final consummation that there may be no loneliness, for what would be the final being. I hold instead an indefinite, or you could say eternal, suspension. The ultimate harmonious being, many beings. Focused on the ultimate that is implied by our perfect cooperation. Look, it's, to put it mildly, not easy to conceive of the ultimate state. Much better when I develop a mature nirvanic body, and I'm a junior, I'm a child. But it's not that you're not, you are too. We may be at different levels of maturity of bodies, each body, from the physical to the being. I don't know if I can quite say that about the final being, because we're holding off from that maturity, or at least its final state. We're holding off so there may be the loveliness of this plurality of harmony. At each stage, of course, the body's maturity is defined by, in some sense, contrast with its lack of maturity, possibility, and experience. You know, the lack of maturity in the body is size, capability, pain. You know, we know what, in some sense, a mature grown-up person is compared to a baby. A bit chaotic. Still hoping come together. Is she breathing? You know, has he learned to suck mother's milk yet? Is he sleeping all right? And we start saying, you know, and is he happy or is he upset? You know, we're looking now at his emotional body. Is he mentally developing? Does he, from his response, seem to recognize mum when she's near and recognize when she's not? You know? In other words, he's analyzing. He's trying to move into the ability of his causal mind too. He's wanting to achieve something. Mum coming back, so he's crying out. He's giving vent to his emotion and what he's thinking. He's already causally developing, you see. He has a peace when mum is near, so he's starting to feel intuitively when things are right and when they're not. Mum's presence is intuitively something that says things are going to be on the right side. Yeah? He's got that bodic body which is starting to develop as well. He's got a nirvanic body which starts to realize that there are some things he does which has repercussions on the other body. If you like, he doesn't have the power to bite Mum, but she stops you hanging on too tight or something, or she puts you in a more comfortable position from her point of view. So you start to learn cooperation with, community with Mum. You sleep near her, but not on her face, it's more around where her breasts are, and that's the best place for you. You learn cooperation, which is the development of the love of the nirvanic body. Amazing. So it's not that, each of the bodies is benefited by maturity below, beneath, and able to benefit those below, beneath in the sort of hierarchy. So a sound body enables you to have a sound emotional. Not necessarily choose it, of course. That might depend on the mental maturity, so that you don't just use your soundness of body and control of the emotions to achieve wrong goals. You get good at it. So each body is of value to the others, and the maturity of the others, the development of the maturity of the others is symbiotic, is feedback all the time from the maturity of the other bodies. And each body is both benefiting and benefiting from the other bodies. They're maturing simultaneously. It's not that I jump into enlightenment. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me. Things were developed at each level. And you start with all the levels. Kingdom of heaven is within you. You see this understanding of being, this being. I don't even say understanding, because that's to describe it in terms of the mental body. And it's one of the it's a higher body. It's in a different dimension. But it's the body you have from the beginning. It's just that it's not matured. And there's enlightenment at every level. The child's finding a situation where the body's needs are being met. The physical body, the emotional body is finding a situation where the emotions it has are in harmony. The mental body is finding rationality, understanding, to the extent that it can reason out things that actually work in the world, the physical world, and the emotional world. The higher level of enlightenment as we call it, Bodhic. Buddhi enlightenment is where you have a knowledge, an intuitive, imaginative understanding, the imagination, and is now matured into intuition that matches with the reality of the situation of the other bodies. From this comes such an awareness of the interrelatedness of everything that this feeds into development of your nirvanic body, which is a fellowship body. You realize that your total welfare is something to do with the total activity of what's going on in the environment around you, the world, the universe. And in the maturity of this consequence of enlightenment, this love body is the love of God, which is the ultimate realization of being. That being is all oneness, and the higher levels of the nirvanic body are family. The ego is enlarged to include not just one or two others like the wife and the kids and the parents. I should say parents, wife, kids in chronological order, shouldn't I? But all life. And this harmony feeds into the ultimate. The being is oneness. I am he, blessed Spirit. I am he, or as Jesus puts it, I and my Father are one. I hold off personally from that final step of being one, because I don't want the one to be isolated. I have a love for what will build into a tremendous love for the oneness of all. And it is to hold off and be separate, that I may be a perfect friend too, along with trillions and trillions and trillions of other members of the family. Thank you, Dad. So in summary, we run up, it goes from what we understand, we're very used to maturity of we're seeking a maturity at every level, and at each level it's being, we're maturing all the time. It's not that we suddenly create a new level. It's that each level you have, Kingdom of Heaven's already within you, this family, this host of heaven, this communal thing. Do you see? And the oneness of God is, of course, there already. We're holding off from that final maturity of the nirvanic level. We're not holding off so much at the minute because we haven't attained it. But we do have the nirvanic level, there's no question of that. We have that body. We have each of the bodies, and they're all in a state of maturing and helping each other by their maturity. Each helps the others by their maturity. It's a symbiotic family, cooperative. It's what maturing is. So there's the physical body, the emotional body, the mental, including causal, initiating body. There's the imaginative, intuitive body. There's the nirvanic, loving, communal, loving body, family body. So if I would use single words, I'd say physical, emotional, mental, intuitive, loving, you could look, the bodies are not that distinct, else they couldn't. They help each other by contact and merging at the edges, you see. They feed through into each other because it's not just two surfaces touching. They intermix, because you've got that sort of concept at each level. And you could take the intermix as being a level in itself, being a body. You could say in a vibrational sense that matter is very low vibration and nirvanic, heavenly family is an extremely high vibration. Short, fast, delicate, ethereal. But that's to see it from our present preoccupation. The baby is preoccupied at the physical level. It's just been made, in a sense, in the womb by mum. I mean, that itself was a whole series of levels, but each one had to develop for Bubby to even be born. To be aware of the next level, which was the emotional body, which it starts to try and, well, it doesn't do it, it just experiences its maturity. In that sense, we don't actually do our maturity at every stage. In every body, I was almost going to say the victim of, we're the consequence of God's creativeness in us. The child doesn't have to purposefully grow, he just does grow. It's a consequence of the, I might say, inevitable maturity of each body, as it both receives and gives to all the other bodies, in yourself, as we call it. And that's our maturing process, is part of the family of you maturing. Yes. Well, we become more and more mature in that we become more and more cooperative in the effect of our bodies within us. So the health of the physical body helps the emotional, mental, and so on bodies all the way up. And from the other direction too, the health, if you like, the maturity of the nirvanic body feeds down into helping the others to mature. An improvement of maturity in the nirvanic body means that your intuition is greatly helped and steered, and your intuition, and also your, we can think of what you're causally working on, and logic, what you're thinking of and mentally looking for and trying to work out. And your ability to work out is helped greatly by maturity in the nirvanic body. And of course this also helps the welfare of your emotions and your physical body, obviously, you see. The maturity of each of the bodies greatly helps the maturing process of the others. And, well, I'm saying in a sort of Zen sense that the maturity of the whole person can come together extremely fast with some enlightenment we think of in intuitive terms, some maturity in the at the nirvanic level, feeding down into the enlightenment, which has a staggering effect on the maturing process of the lower bodies, and on the lower body's ability to feed into and benefit the nirvanic body itself. We are wonderfully and fearfully made by God, our Dad. And I speak of it in these very basic terms, Dad and love and so on, because that is the most easily intelligible to us in our immature state of conception and ability and so on, in the immature state of our bodies. I don't just mean physical now, I mean all our bodies within each person. Bless you. You are wonderfully made and wonderfully maturing by the grace of our Heavenly Dad, our God. Thank you, Dad. Love you. And might I say, loving God is of tremendous maturing benefit to all of your bodies. That we can say very quickly indeed brings about this wonderful maturity of life eternal, not just abundant, but abundantly eternal too. The joy of being an adult member in the family of heaven is our heritage by the grace, goodness and love of God, our Dad. Thank you, Dad. Look, this discourse, this one here, is, I don't know how good an example, but an example of the very process that it's been analysing and addressed to. This cooperative support of the bodies on each other, and is in itself an example of the maturing process. I don't mean the ultimate maturity, I mean this recording is, both in making it and listening to it, helpful in the maturing process. It is it. I don't mean it's the all of it, I mean it's part of it in itself. For us taking part and listening to. Not quite sure how to say it and how to communicate it. There, do you see I have a notion of it, but it's not mature enough yet to articulate it and communicate it at all unambiguously, at all clearly. It's the maturing process itself, more obviously at work. You can enjoy being a kiddie, you see. You enjoy growing up. You become so aware of taking part in your maturing, which is what we're doing here. How lovely. Love you, Dad. Thank you, Dad.